When was the last time you felt protected, even though nothing around you seemed safe? Not the kind of protection that comes from locks on doors or alarms on windows or words meant to calm you down. I mean real protection. The kind you feel deep in your chest when something unseen stands between you and what could have destroyed you. Most people don't believe in that until the night they need it. This is not a story about luck, and it's not a story about coincidence. This is a story about the angel of protection, and the moment he decided to intervene. Family of light, beyond our sung prayers, I now bring you a series of angelic stories meant to strengthen your faith. Listen carefully, because this story may be closer to your life than you imagine. Her name was Margaret Hale. She lived in a small town in the Midwest, the kind of place where everyone waved politely but rarely asked how you were really doing. White houses, quiet streets, long winters. From the outside, Margaret's life looked ordinary, but inside, everything felt fragile. She had lost her husband 2 years earlier, not to illness, not to old age, but to a sudden accident that left no time for goodbyes. Since that day, safety had become an illusion. Every noise startled her, every night felt longer than the last. And every time the wind touched the windows, her heart raced, as if danger were already inside. She slept with the lights on. She double-checked the locks. She avoided mirrors, because she barely recognized the woman staring back. What no one knew was that Margaret lived in constant fear, not of death, but of being unprotected. She used to believe God watched over her. She used to believe angels were near, but grief has a way of making heaven feel very far away. That night started like any other. Margaret prepared a simple dinner she barely touched. She turned on the television just for noise. Then she sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, staring at nothing. Outside, a storm was forming. The wind grew restless. The sky darkened faster than expected, and the power went out without warning. The house fell into silence. Margaret froze. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure the whole neighborhood could hear it. She reached for her phone. No signal. That's when she heard it. A sound, soft but deliberate. A knock. Not loud, not aggressive, just intentional. Her breath caught in her throat. No one ever came that late. Not anymore. She stood slowly, every muscle tense, every instinct screaming that something was wrong. Another knock. And suddenly a thought crossed her mind, one she hadn't allowed herself to think in years. I am not safe. With trembling hands, Margaret approached the door. She didn't open it. She asked, barely above a whisper, "Who is it?" A calm voice answered, "Ma'am, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm having trouble with my car. The storm caught me off guard." His tone wasn't rushed, wasn't demanding. It was steady. Margaret hesitated. Fear told her to stay silent, but something else, something quieter, urged her to listen. She opened the door just enough to see him. A man stood on her porch. Tall, dark coat. Rain barely touching him despite the storm. His eyes were the strangest part. Not cold, not intense, protective. As if he were watching over her, not at her. "I don't need to come in," he said gently. "I just need to use a phone." Margaret felt her fear pause, not disappear. Pause. Against all logic, she opened the door. The moment he stepped inside, the atmosphere shifted. The house felt warmer, quieter. The storm outside continued, but somehow felt distant. He stood near the door, respectful, unmoving. Margaret noticed details that didn't make sense. His clothes were dry, his voice didn't shake. And though the power was out, she could see him clearly, as if light followed him. "You live alone," he said softly. She nodded, unsure why she trusted him. "You've been afraid for a long time," he continued. Her chest tightened. "How do you know that?" she asked. He met her eyes. "Because I've been near." Margaret felt tears rise without warning. Years of fear, years of sleepless nights, years of pretending she was fine, all of it surfaced at once. "I don't feel safe anymore," she confessed. "Ever since my husband died, it feels like something bad is always about to happen." The man listened, truly listened. Then he said something she would never forget. "Protection doesn't mean danger never comes," he said. "It means you are never facing it alone." She swallowed hard. "Who are you?" she asked again. This time, he didn't answer directly. Instead, he said, "Tonight, nothing will touch you. Not fear, not harm, not the past." And as those words settled in the room, Margaret felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Without warning, the storm stopped. The wind died down, the rain softened, and the power returned. Lights flickered on. Margaret blinked. When she looked back at the man, he was gone. The door was still locked, no footsteps, no sound, just silence, and the unmistakable feeling that someone had just stood guard over her life. That night, Margaret slept in complete darkness. No lights, no fear. For the first time since her loss, she slept deeply, and just before drifting off, she felt it, a presence near her bed, not visible, but undeniable. A quiet certainty whispered through her soul, "You are protected." If you've been living with fear, if you feel like danger is always one step away, if you've been asking yourself who is watching over you now, this story is not over, because the angel of protection does not appear once. He stays. Margaret woke up to something unfamiliar. Silence. Not the heavy silence that comes from loneliness, but the kind that feels safe. The morning light entered the room gently, resting on the walls like it belonged there. For a moment she lay still, afraid to move, afraid that if she did, the feeling would disappear. But it didn't. Her chest felt lighter. Her breath came easily, and for the first time in years, she realized something that stopped her cold. She had slept through the night. No nightmares, no sudden jolts awake, no racing thoughts, just rest. Margaret sat up slowly and looked around the room. Everything was the same, and yet, nothing was. The fear that usually greeted her mornings was gone, not erased, but held at a distance, as if something unseen stood between her and it. She brewed coffee and sat at the kitchen table, staring into the steam rising from the mug. Her mind replayed the night before, the storm, the knock, the man. His voice echoed in her memory. "You are never facing it alone," she whispered to the empty room. "Who were you?" The house answered with quiet. But deep inside, Margaret already sensed the truth. That wasn't just a man who came to her door. It was protection itself, wearing a form she could understand. Later that afternoon, Margaret decided to leave the house. It was a small thing, something she had avoided for weeks. She drove toward the grocery store, her hands tight on the steering wheel. The road was wet from the storm, the sky still heavy with clouds. As she approached an intersection, the light turned green. She pressed the accelerator. And then, time slowed. From the corner of her eye, she saw it. A truck, speeding, out of control, running the red light. Her heart leapt into her throat. She slammed the brakes. The truck flew past her car, missing her by inches. Margaret sat frozen, breath trapped in her chest. If she had gone 1 second earlier, if she hadn't stopped, her hands began to shake, and then she felt it. A pressure, firm but gentle, against her shoulder. Not physical, but real. A calm settled over her, and a thought, clear, unmistakable, passed through her mind. Not today. That was only the beginning. Over the following days, Margaret noticed things she couldn't explain. Doors she forgot to lock were somehow locked. Her phone rang just before moments she felt overwhelmed. People appeared exactly when she needed help, then disappeared from her life just as quietly. Once, she tripped on the stairs. She was certain she would fall, but she didn't. It felt as though the air itself held her upright. Each time, fear tried to return, and each time, something stopped it, invisible, constant, protective. But fear doesn't surrender easily. One night, weeks later, Margaret woke up gasping for air. Her heart raced. Her room felt darker than usual. The old panic returned without warning. "You're alone. You're not safe. Something bad is coming." She sat up in bed, clutching her chest. "No," she whispered. "No, not again." The silence pressed in on her, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then the air shifted. The room didn't grow brighter. It grew steadier, as if the walls themselves were standing guard. Margaret closed her eyes, and then she heard it. Not a voice, not a sound, a knowing. "I'm still here." Her breathing slowed. The panic retreated. Fear didn't vanish, but it lost its power. That night, Margaret dreamed. She stood on a narrow bridge suspended over darkness. Below her, shadows moved, threatening, endless. She was afraid to step forward. Then she noticed something behind her. A figure. Tall, radiant. Wings extended, not to fly, but to shield. Every time the shadows rose, the wings moved first, blocking, deflecting, protecting. She turned to face him. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. The figure answered without moving his lips, "Because you were never meant to fight alone." She woke up with tears streaming down her face. Not tears of fear, tears of recognition. From that day on, Margaret understood something she had never known before. Protection isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It moves quietly, redirecting danger, softening impact, holding back what you don't even see coming. The angel of protection wasn't there to remove all hardship. He was there to make sure it didn't destroy her. If you've ever avoided a disaster by seconds, if you've ever felt a sudden urge to stop, turn, wait, if you've ever wondered why something bad didn't happen, that wasn't luck, that was protection, and it may still be happening in your life, right now. For a while, life felt almost normal. Margaret went to the store without her heart racing. She slept with the lights off. She even caught herself humming while doing the dishes. But fear is patient. It waits until you relax, until you believe the danger has passed. And then it returns. Not loudly, but convincingly. It started with a feeling she couldn't explain, a sense of being watched, not protected, watched. One evening, Margaret noticed something strange. Her reflection in the window didn't move when she did. She froze. The house was quiet, but the silence felt different now, tight, alert. Her instincts screamed. She stepped back. The reflection followed. A second, too late. Her pulse thundered in her ears. "Get out," she whispered to herself. She turned away from the window and hurried toward the hallway. That's when she felt it, a pressure at her back, firm, unyielding, stopping her. And in that instant, she understood something terrifying. If she had taken one more step, she would have been in danger. Her phone buzzed violently in her hand. An unknown number. She answered without thinking. "Do not open any doors tonight." The voice was calm, low, familiar. Her breath caught. "Who is this?" she asked. Silence. Then the call ended. Every hair on her body stood on end. She locked every door, every window, and sat on the couch, trembling. Fear tried to consume her, but something stronger rose within her. Trust. As darkness deepened, strange things began to happen. Footsteps outside the house, slow, circling, a shadow passing beneath the door. Margaret didn't move. She felt it again. That presence, not behind her this time, around her, like an invisible wall. The footsteps stopped. The shadow vanished. Minutes passed, then hours. Nothing happened. And that's when Margaret realized protection doesn't always look like action. Sometimes it looks like prevention. That night, she dreamed again. She stood in the center of a wide field. Storm clouds gathered above. Suddenly, arrows of darkness rained from the sky. She braced herself, but none of them touched her. They stopped midair, as if striking an invisible barrier. Above her hovered a massive shield of light. Behind it stood the angel of protection. His wings were not spread wide this time. They were folded, ready. "This is what I do," his voice echoed. "I stand where you cannot." She woke up, breathing steadily, unafraid. The next morning, police cars lined her street. A neighbor had reported suspicious activity overnight. Someone had been testing doors. Margaret listened quietly as officers spoke. Her house had been untouched, not even scratched. One officer looked at her strangely. "You're lucky," he said. Margaret shook her head. "No," she replied softly. "I'm protected." Later that day, Margaret sat alone, hands folded. "Thank you," she whispered. The room warmed, and though no voice answered, she felt it clearly. Always. Sometimes fear returns to remind you of something important. Not how weak you are, but how watched over you've been all along. If something didn't reach you, if harm stopped at your door, if danger turned away without explanation, that wasn't chance. That was the angel of protection, standing watch. After that night, Margaret could no longer ignore it. Protection wasn't just something happening to her. It was happening around her. Every step she took felt guided. Every decision felt quietly supported. And one question began to grow in her heart. Why me? She wasn't special. She wasn't perfect. She hadn't done anything extraordinary, so why had an angel been assigned to her life? The question stayed with her until one quiet afternoon, when she finally spoke it aloud. "Why are you protecting me?" The room grew still. And then, for the first time, the answer came. Not as a feeling, not as a dream, but as understanding. Margaret sat in her living room, sunlight spilling across the floor. Her heart felt unusually open, vulnerable. And suddenly, she felt the presence again, stronger, clearer, not behind her, not around her, but within. "You believe protection is about keeping you from pain," the voice said gently. "But protection has a deeper purpose?" Margaret closed her eyes. The words continued. "You were protected because your life is not only about survival. It is about continuity." Her breath caught. "What does that mean?" she whispered. "It means you were preserved so something greater could continue through you." Memories flooded her mind. Moments when she had almost given up. Nights when despair nearly won. Times when fear told her she had nothing left to give. And yet, she was still here. "You were not saved from danger by accident," the voice said. "You were kept because your presence matters." Margaret felt tears rise. "All this time," she murmured, "I thought protection meant safety." The response came with quiet certainty. Protection means purpose. In her mind, she saw something new, not herself alone, but people connected to her life, neighbors, strangers, future moments she had not yet lived. Each connection formed a chain, and she realized something profound. If she had fallen, those moments would have been lost. Protection wasn't only about her, it was about everyone she hadn't reached yet. The truth was heavy. "You were protected," the angel said, "because you will become protection." Margaret felt both fear and awe. "I don't know how," she said honestly. "You don't need to," the voice replied. You only need to remain open. Protection didn't require strength. It required presence. That same week, Margaret encountered a woman at the grocery store. She looked exhausted, afraid. Their eyes met briefly, and Margaret recognized the look immediately. It was her own, from before. Without thinking, she spoke. Are you okay? The woman hesitated, then shook her head. Something passed between them. Unspoken. Sacred. Margaret listened. She didn't fix anything. She didn't offer advice. She stayed. And when the woman left, something inside Margaret shifted. The chain continued. That night, Margaret felt the presence again. You see now, the angel said. Protection multiplies. Margaret smiled softly. I was never meant to be alone, she said. No, the angel answered. You were meant to stand? If you've been protected when you didn't understand why, if your life continued when it could have ended, if something kept you here despite the odds, perhaps it wasn't only for you, perhaps you were preserved so your light could reach someone else. That night, the silence felt different. Not empty, not heavy, complete. Margaret sat by the window watching the streetlights glow softly against the darkness. For the first time since the angel had entered her life, she felt no urgency, no fear of what might come next. Only a deep, steady calm. She knew something was ending, and something else was beginning. The presence returned, not suddenly, not dramatically, but gently, like a familiar breath. You are no longer afraid, the voice said. Margaret nodded. I think I finally understand. She had spent her whole life believing protection meant being shielded from harm, from pain, from loss, from uncertainty. But now she saw the truth. Protection was never about removing danger. It was about not letting fear decide her destiny. You won't stay? She asked quietly. The angel's response was tender, almost smiling. I was never meant to stay beside you forever. I was meant to walk with you until you could stand without looking back. Margaret swallowed hard. So, this is goodbye? No, the voice answered. This is trust. Her memories returned one last time. The moments she should not have survived. The accidents that never happened. The doors that closed just in time. The instincts she couldn't explain. The warnings she felt but never heard aloud. All of it now made sense. You were watched, the angel said. Not because you were weak, but because you were becoming strong. Margaret felt tears fall, but they were not tears of loss. They were tears of arrival. What happens now? She asked. Now, the angel replied. You live. A quiet truth settled into her heart. She didn't need signs anymore. She didn't need proof. She didn't need protection to feel safe, because protection had already done its work. You will still be guided, the voice continued, but not from the outside. What you learned is now within you. Margaret placed her hand over her chest and felt it. A steady presence, not foreign, not separate. Integrated. The angel's final words came slowly, intentionally. Remember this when fear tries to return. I did not protect you so you could hide from the world. I protected you so you could face it without losing yourself. The room grew still again. But this time, Margaret did not feel alone. She felt accompanied by something unbreakable. Purpose. From that day on, her life did not become easier, but it became clearer. She noticed danger sooner. She trusted her instincts without apology. She stepped away from what felt wrong, even when it looked safe. She stepped toward what felt right, even when it looked uncertain. And sometimes, when she helped a stranger or spoke a word at the right moment or chose courage over comfort, she felt it. Not a voice, not a presence, but a knowing. Protection had not left her. It had transformed her. And if you are listening to this story right now, let me ask you something. How many times have you been protected without realizing it? How many moments should have gone wrong but didn't? How many times did something inside you whisper, don't go, wait, or turn back? That wasn't coincidence. That wasn't luck. That was protection. And maybe, just maybe, you were protected not only to survive, but to become protection for someone else. If this story spoke to you, leave a comment and share what resonated with your heart. Your words may be the confirmation someone else is waiting for. Subscribe to the channel if you feel called to stories of faith, angels, and divine guidance. And share this video with someone who may need reassurance tonight. This is Signs of Heaven, and you were never alone.